Good morning, Mr. Impossible One. Welcome. Welcome to our first stream here on Pogo On. Ignore this. Ignore this. We're doing a soft opening, but we know that there's a necessitation for it to be here. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Impossible. I want to remind you to feel the front of your shins today. I want to know if you are asking yourself, if you were able to feel the fronts of your shins this morning. It is a great morning. A fantastic morning it is. Freaking Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. We're starting up bright and early this morning, 5:30 every day. Monday through Friday, we will be here. Pogo On. Welcome to Pogo On. Today we discuss really quickly as we are feeling the rainbow arches. Remember, you place the weight of the body into the front of the spine, not the back of the spine, but into the front of the spine at all times. Weight of the body into the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. I hope I sound great. We were doing some testing the other day, and it sounds great to me. I hope it sounds fantastic. Please let me know if the sound quality can be higher, lower, if I'm blowing out your ears every time I scream or something, and we can deal with that feedback in the future. We appreciate all of it. Thank you so much. Wherever you are, if you are in the kitchen right now, are you eating some food? What you up to? Are you walking the dog? Are you taking a crap? Are you taking a shower? Make sure you get behind the ears. Whatever you're doing. I hope you're having a fantastic morning, able to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine. Remember, the front of the spine, not the back, not the back spiny portions that that do the very important job of protecting the nerves and housing the nerves and having holes on the sides about the size of a finger each of them with nerves that go to your entire body. The back of the spine for housing the nerves. Make sure that you're placing the weight of the body on the front of the spine, not the back of the spine, which is used for housing the nerves. You wouldn't get mad at the front of the spine for housing all the weight, right? Although it doesn't shield the nerves, it has its own job of housing the weight, right? Of putting all the weight on the weight of the body on the front of the spine, right? It doesn't house the nerves, but it has its own job, right? So we're placing the weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Remember, you do not sit on your legs, but in fact, if you look at this diagram, our favorite diagram, your legs are indeed floating. Your leg joints are indeed floating right there, and there. They are floating over there. You do not sit on your legs, but in fact, place your weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. And let your legs free float as you place your weight of the body down the front of the shins. And please do not make me say it again, or make us say it again. That's okay too. That's all right if you want to make us say it again. We're okay with that. As you place the weight of the body in front of the spine, and how does that feel for you? How does your sense of self feel as you place your weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times? Sense of self, of course, sense of self being how it feels from your left arm to your right arm, your inner world, and just how it feels. How sometimes if you maybe hit your knee or maybe you stub your toe, maybe you might walk differently for a little while, right? Maybe your inside world, your inner coordination with your inner body feels a little bit different, right? If you stub your toe, you might need to walk different for a little bit. You might need to adjust your sense of self for a few weeks or a week or so to walk a little bit differently to avoid the pain until it feels comfortable again, right? We adjust our sense of self all the time. So how does your sense of self feel when we're asking ourselves to place our weight of the body down the front of the spine and then into the rainbow arches at all times? As we place our weight of the body down the front of the shins, and remember that we do not sit on our legs. And how does that feel? Does your sense of self feel more in the moment than the last moment as we're placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine? Just observe how it feels for you. It might change from day to day. It might feel better yesterday. It might feel better today. But what's fantastic is that that's something that we can use as a gauge every day, right? If we're always asking ourselves, hey, today's Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021, is it not? Am I placing the weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times, like Herbie's saying? And if so, how is my sense of self feeling at that point? Do I feel more poised? to handle this moment. As I'm placing weight of the body down the front of the spine, do I feel more ready to take the next question? Do I feel ready to look at this picture again and think of the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches, and then I don't sit on my legs? How does that make my sense of self feel? Maybe a lot better, as you're placing the weight of the body down in front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. And remember that you do not sit on your legs. As you feel in front of your shins, placing the weight of the body into front of the shins as well. So this stuff's crazy that's going on in the world right now. We want to talk about world peace through individual strength on this podcast. We're going to be looking a lot at the world through a human lens of love. Real love. Not this fake love. Not this fake, it'll be here one day and it's gone the next day love. This blackmailing kind of love of I love you only if you love me kind of love. Not this fake kind of love. We're going to talk about the real love. We're going to talk about the real human love. Regardless of color, regardless of nationality, regardless of race, there is no sex, there is no gender. Love is love. But what do we mean by that? In a real way. In a real way. What do we mean by that? Love is a dangerous word. Love is a dangerous word. As we're placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Love is a dangerous word. Why? Because it's a very fickle word that we put so much power into. Love is everything, right? I love you. I love you, Herbie. I love you, wife. I love you, world. I love you everything. I love you this. I love you music. I love you food. I don't care whatever. Welcome. I don't care whatever. Hello, good morning. I don't care whatever. Are you feeling the front of your shins today? I don't care whatever. Are you feeling the weight of the body into the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches? And remember that you do not sit on your legs at all times. Love is a powerful freaking word, right? Love is a freaking powerful word because everybody wants it. It's such a strong thing, but it's so deceptive, right? No one's going to define it. That's an issue. It's an issue because you can use it for whatever you want now. It's a big weapon. You look online, you look at freaking Twitter. It's freaking insane with this stuff right now. Love this, love that. And you can't refute it because obviously love is true. Love is something that we all want, obviously, right? We're talking about human problems here. We're just trying to solve problems. We're just trying to help the world. We're just trying to be real. Trying to be real, which we know will help solve problems. So what exactly is this? Like, what exactly is this love thing? Besides a tool of manipulation as it's currently, right? Oh, if you don't support us, that means you don't love this thing. If you don't blah, 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 then you don't love this thing. If you don't blah, 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 then you don't love. It's like this big mysterious thing. But what if it's not this big mysterious thing and couldn't be wielded that way? Why should it be this big mysterious thing? Love. Why not just be like, why not just be truth? Why not just be truth without hatred? See, the issue with the word love is not that some people want love and other people don't want love. Everybody wants love. That's the nature of life. What do? You chase love, right? Food feels like love. You're gonna chase that, right? It's not a complicated word. What's difficult is getting everybody on the same page about what the state of human beings are. Because what the worldview of what the human beings are is gonna determine what love is. For example, if you believe that the state of the world is that everybody is constantly freaking being aggressed on all the time by their own individual problems, your idea of love will be, okay, I want to help you with those problems. However, if your idea of the world is that humans are here to feel happiness and to not feel sadness, then your idea of love is going to be to not make people sad, because then you are unloving, right? You'd be a monster, right? You'd be like, I don't want you to have a life that you want. But it's not really mostly about that, right? It's not really mostly about I want you to love or I want this person to love. Everybody wants everybody to love. It's more so about what worldview these people have. What worldview do we all have individually? And so that decides what you consider love to be. If your worldview is that love, or if your worldview is that life is here to be enjoyed, or that life is here to be emotionally happy, emotionally independent of sadness, like if your worldview of human beings is that we should have as least sadness as possible and as most happiness as possible throughout life, then your idea of what love is going to work around those rules. It's going to say, okay, this person's not feeling happiness. So by my definition of love, then they are not being loved. I must make them feel happy, so that is love. But if your worldview is on the contrary, that the world is dangerous and that you need to equip yourself in order to handle the problems that are being thrown at you daily throughout life, then maybe your idea of love is helping to equip that person with the tools to deal with those things, as opposed to these emotional things that are happening right now. So what your worldview is going to vastly determine how your view of love is, based on what your worldview of what a human being is. I'll get to the chat in a second. Sorry, guys. I think I saw one chat from yeah, whatever. Isn't love? I don't care whatever LOL says. Isn't love real, even without a definition? Right, precisely. This is what we're seeing, right? Isn't love something that just precedes? It's just something that humans want by default. It's like not even something that you can say that someone doesn't want or someone wants less of, perhaps by their motivations. But the idea of love is so dangerous because it is so powerful, in that even without a definition, even without having to define it with words, it is something that humans are using as a currency. It's like, okay, if you do such and such, that means that you love such and such, so we can determine your value in the world as such and such. And that's silly, right? Because now we got this crazy little game here where it's like, all right, emotions are love. Emotions are love. Then you could take that away from you. You can give it back. You can take it away from you, give it back based on other people's definitions. That's crazy. Why are conservatives losing? Why are conservatives losing? They allow themselves to be blackmailed by this love word. Love's got this unique power, right? Of being one of the human's only natural motivations, and we all understand that. If there is a God, this love thing may be close. This love thing may be very, very close. And so we treat it with as such humility and majesty, this love thing, because we already recognize that it is, if there is anything such as God, it is this love thing. This is very dangerous, and it's very important that we decide what the worldview we have is, so that decides what this idea of love that you have is. We don't even need to decide if it's love that you're after. And anybody who thinks it's about that is lying to you. Should you actually have faith in people, then you know that they're looking for love. If you actually believe in the science, then you know that they're looking for the love. You know that you're going after things that you want, whether or not you're conscious of what those things that you want are. If you believe the science, right? If you believe in the science, then that's how you feel. So if you're believing the science, then you understand that humans are these things that were programmed, and it depends on what game is programmed into your head that's going to decide what you think love is. So in actuality, this idea of us having like, oh, everybody has these different values. Oh, we can all live together and have different values. It's not actually that accurate. You got to have the same worldview so you even understand what love is, because no one wants to define it. So if you don't want to define love, you got to define what your worldview is so we can understand what you mean by love is, because love is this universal thing, right? Love is universal, right? Love is this universal thing, has no language, right? So if love is this thing that has no language, you don't want to define that, then we got to define what world you're living in so we understand what your love means, because we do understand that thing naturally. We already understand that thing, love. We understand that indubitably, inherently. We understand that naturally. Check this out. Feel the weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. How does that feel? So we already understand that We already understand that there's some things that feel good and some things that don't feel good, and there's some things that feel like love and some things that don't feel like love. And emotion can look like one of those things that feels like love. But if love is going to be this thing that we refuse to put a title on, but we all already understand it inherently, then what's the next step? We have to define what these people are, what they are living in internally, so we understand what they mean by love then. We've already gone way past this point in which we can do anything about preventing this kind of thought pattern of abusive love, of this emotionally abusive love. So at this point, it's what can we do, Herbie? Is what people ask. What can we do, Herbie? It's a grassroots movement at this point. It's a spiritual revolution at this point. It has to be. The powers are too strong that believe in this emotional blackmailing kind of stuff. Of like, what is love? Oh, you can't define love. Okay, so if you don't do the thing that I want, then that means you're not loving because you can't define it and I can't define it. So I'm going to define it because I have less scrupulous rules than you do. So I'm just going to choose what I define it and you got to go by it, baby. Baby. And that's how it goes. This emotional blackmail that they're going to use because we refuse to define this love thing. All right, so we can go a couple ways. Because humans are in a situation and they're looking for love. That's the two things, right? You're in a situation and you're looking for love. So what's the situation so you can see what the love looks like? Because you guys don't want to define love. I don't want to... Okay, here. You guys don't want to define love. So we have to define... Oh, this is hard, right? You guys don't want to define love. So we're going to define what life we're living in then. Because the life you're living in will then define what love looks like to you. Why? Because we already know that love is this like inbred, this like innate language within human beings, right? This love thing is an innate language within human beings that needs no explanation, that needs no definition, that is universal, that every human just knows. So if that's the case, then we got to start defining what world the human's living in so that we know what the love means then, because we got to know what it means. It's not good enough to just say love is around us and if you don't agree with us, then you're not for love. It's not good enough. You're hurting people, actually. You're actually hurting people who are desperate for love. Why? Because love is this universal thing that we already know deep down inherently. So we can define love, the truth without hatred. But if we don't want to define love, and if we want to continue to say it's this emotional thing, then we're going to have to come to terms with, we need to understand then what the worldview of these people who are saying love is then. And that's important. In fact, that's the only thing that matters. That's the only way you'll be able to understand what this love thing means to them and whether or not it jives with people's ability to be safe and themselves, whether or not it's truly free. It's such a cop-out. People can be, oh, love is free. We love more. We have more sex. So we're more free. What is that? That's crazy talk. That's not freedom, unfortunately. That'd be great. The reason why it's not freedom is because it's not always there. It's not something internal that you can take with you everywhere you go. In addiction to sex, in addiction to masturbation even. Feelings that can never stay. Why? Even when you're done masturbating, ooh, you're done. You're asleep, baby. For the next how long? It's not a feeling that you can take with you. And in fact, it's one that makes the harder and the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one harder and harder to deal with. That's why becoming addicted to anything sexual is so hard. It's so bad. You're getting addicted to something that is spiraling downwards. It's harder and harder to get more and more what you want as you do this and this and this. It's not because it's like, you don't do that because you're going to go to heck. It's not because of that. It's because you will lead yourself there by doing so. It's because you will find yourself there. Unable to be doing anything else because you're not motivated, because you're motivated by something that is, you're used to getting pleasure immediately now. Getting addicted to sex is awful for kids. Getting addicted to masturbation is awful for kids. They learn a totally awful reward system, which is, I get what I want now, which is totally usually what's opposite about what life is about. I'll get what I want if I discipline and I work hard at it. It's usually how it goes in real life. In a life where the help that other people give you for your efforts diminishes, which is the case as you get older and older and older. People care about you and care for you less and less and less. So your ability to handle hardships that come your way is crippled and crippled and crippled and crippled as you addict yourself to this instant gratification that is masturbation. You know what feels better? Placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all of the times. I wish I knew that when I was young. As you place the weight of the body down the front of the shins. Remember, you don't sit on your legs. I wish I knew that when I was young. That's really all they're looking for, is feeling the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. That's really all they're looking for. As you're doing that thing, don't do that thing. But I mean, if you feel the need to do it, don't judge it. It's your body, you know? It's just like you're going through some stuff. You need to handle it, and your body didn't know how to handle it, didn't realize that there's so much to do with breathing properly, with mood regulation, and knowing where to place the weight of the body is in the front of the spine. You try to place it on the wrong part of your body the whole time. You're squeezing all these nerves, hurting your body. And what is love? Is it distracting people away from their ability to feel the front of the spine into the rainbow arches at all times? Is it distracting people from being able to regulate their own body and their own mood to feel better? To distract them from that, is that love? And don't you distract people when you lie to them or when you speak less than truths? As we blur our own kinesthetic experience to our insides, as we know that telling untruths does, is that love? As we're placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Let's think about that. Let's think about that. What is love? It's like, why are conservatives losing? They can't get over these arguments of like, they just can't get over the sex argument. They can't get over the feelings argument. It always hits a wall there. Love and sex. Once it gets there, they don't know what to say. They're just like, don't do it. Okay, well, thanks. Like, I love you guys. I love you guys, but why? Why do we stop there? It's like, we don't truly understand the argument that you're trying to make. So it ends up coming flat. Not even to say that your argument is wrong. They might even understand that the argument's wrong, that their own argument's wrong, and that yours is right. But the fact that it's not explored enough on your side, it comes across as it just comes across weakly. So why are they going to believe you? Why are they going to choose your side? If you can't give them something that feels better than sex or drugs or, I don't know, vice, if you can't give them something that feels better than just responsibility and duty, of course they're not going to do it. You're not really fighting the good fight at that point. You're just lecturing at that point because you're not really trying to help them understand. Now, why not be addicted to vice? Let's just freaking answer it. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of these conversations. We should be on way better conversations by now. Twitter is just a cesspool of saying the same thing over and over. Everybody's just talking to themselves out there. Everybody's just giving their own argument, and then someone will argue about it, and instead of listening to that argument, they'll just give their own argument again. Don't act like that's not true. So why not be, okay, first of all, why not be addicted to sex, drugs, and sloth, and laziness, and blah, blah, blah? Why not be addicted to things that feel good right now? Just fucking raving. Excuse my French. Mifa. Excuse my French. Why not be addicted to sex, to masturbation? Why not? Because those things can't always be there, and it's going to spiral you downwards. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's really just the issue. It feels great. Obviously, it feels great, but it makes the chances of you feeling greater the next time and feeling even better and being in a position to do it more in ways that you want, your chances are less. That's all it is. It's like the more you do those things, the more that of those feelings that you think that you're getting there, the more those feelings that you're getting there, the more you do these specific things that people are like, don't do. The reason why you don't want to do those things that like these books are telling you about is not because they don't want you to feel good. It's not because we don't want us to feel good. It's not because I don't want to feel good if I'm following that. It's because it prevents you from getting that thing more often or more of that feeling more often, right? Every time you masturbate, it makes it harder to get what masturbation is usually trying to emulate sex. It kills your drive. You want to follow the science. Follow the freaking science, guys. There is a period in time in which after you ejaculate, in which your levels of energy just go way the heck down. And so that reduces your life productivity, your ability to find another mate, your ability to get stronger enough to attract another mate or to keep the mate that you have. So don't do this, don't do that, because it's gonna suck for you, dude. Because it's gonna suck for you. I mean, do what you want though. Like it's the conservatives are losing because they totally dropped the ball when it comes to how to teach us information, because they dropped the ball when they got the information taught to them, because their parents dropped the ball and their parents dropped the ball and their parents dropped the ball. It's just an endless chain, but it's got to end somewhere, and let's end it now. It's like, why is this stuff bad for you? Not just because you shouldn't do it, but because it's going to suck for you. Not just because you're going to end up in this place that you can keep living your life and it's going to be fine until you get there. No, it's because the life that you're living is going to suck. You're going to jerk off all day, then you're going to have no energy to actually meet and talk to the girl when you actually find the girl that you want to meet and talk to. You're going to have no energy to actually do what needs to be done to show her that you're a valuable mate in that sense, because she has got a billion dudes that she's looking at, necessarily because life is so... it's so voluminous. Life is so populated with so many things and so much greatness and so much life. Of course, you're surrounded by people. You're meeting new people all the time. How are you going to stick out? By being at home, addicting yourself to masturbation or frivolous sex, so that when the time comes, if you follow the science, your body is not ready to do what it needs to do to attract that mate? To solidify your chance on that date? That's why, not because of like some crazy like, one day in the future you're gonna burn and rot. No, dude, because it's gonna suck right now. Because the things that they're talking about are like, what? Like, thou shalt not have pride? Yeah, maybe it's not a good thing to just immediately think you know what's going on in your body and then spend 20-something years doing crazy things to your body while you're in crazy positions, contorting it because you had this pride of thinking you knew how it was constructed from the outside. Come and find later, 20 years later, that you place your weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches, and that you sit on the sit bones and your legs are free to float as you place the weight of the body in front of the shins. Yeah, maybe it's not a good thing to just assume that I knew the design of the body just because I could see it in the mirror. Maybe it wasn't the right thing to just assume that I was right about how my body was constructed just because I live in it. Let alone the fact that we don't construct our own body, that we don't decide where these genes go. We're just living in it, yet we think that we created it? How do you even know if you own the damn thing? You don't even know if you own the damn thing. Conservatives are losing because they're not going far enough on these arguments. The left can go as far as they want on this argument because they do actually, despite the right thinking that the left is all a bunch of dummies, they actually do integrate one of the biggest truths of human beings, is this God. The right and the conservatives know God, quote unquote. They know God, but they don't really feel God. They still get scared. They still look to people pleasing. They don't look within for happiness. They judge music. They judge people. They don't feel God. They don't know God. They've heard of it. They've read about God. They don't know it. What is this God thing? Why can't it just be this feeling that music gives you? Say that God is this music. Say God is that feeling that music gives you when it's great music, when it really resonates with you. Say that's what God is. Say God is that feeling that you get when like the Beatles or your favorite artist in their song motivates you to do something. Say God is that. Is that so hard to believe? Now, how does that change the conversation? God made me do that. Does that sound so silly now? If you place it into the context of something like, oh, the Beatles made me do it. Beethoven made me do it. Is that so silly in context, right? So why can't God just be that feeling of just like the amazing feeling that your favorite song gives you? Say God is that. Now, what possibilities open now? What possibilities open now? Now that we can say that God is real. That's just legit. God is real. God is real. It's that feeling you get when you listen to Beethoven. It's that feeling you get when you wake up in the morning on the right side of the bed and you feel the weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches, and how it's so different, and how you could just tell internally it's different. You know, you just wake up and sometimes it's like, whoo, feels good, baby. And you listen to the right song and it just like, boom, your body feels different. Let's just say that's God, okay? Let's just say that's God. Boom, God exists. It's not so hard now, right? Boom, we're done. Okay, God exists. So now, what does that mean? What does that mean now? If God is this feeling, it means that there are some people who don't feel connected to this quote unquote God feeling, right? Because if we're saying love is strictly a real thing, love is obviously a real thing. Love is a universal wordless thing, right? Then love has to be defined by what people see in their inner world then, because we already know that love is this feeling thing. It's like you get out the morning, whew, that song feels amazing. You listen to your favorite song, or you're feeling the weight of the body on front of the spine. Not the back portion, but the front of the spine. And you're feeling how your sense of self might change when you do that. Similar to how you feel when the right song comes in and you just, you're at the concert, you gotta go. If that feeling is God, then you best believe that there are people upset when you say that, oh, you can't do this because then you're not accessing God. It matters. It matters what we decide what this God thing is. And let's just say it's this music thing. Then what we're deciding here, like we said, love is this universal thing, wordless thing, but we all understand it, right? It's that feeling when you get out of bed or when someone looks at you a certain way and you get that motivating feeling, or that song comes on at the concert and you dash to that front of the row and like you're hitting everybody out of the way because you just love this song, right? It just attracts you so much, right? So we already know that love thing exists within all of us. So let's say we don't even need to define it. So what then do we need to define? Because we need to see what people mean by it so that we can understand what they're meaning by what they're saying, so that we can be more dignified to them too. So what's really important is what's in their inner world, right? Because we already know that love is this universal thing. So what is defining what is love then for them inside of their head? It's going to be whether they see life as emotion, or it's going to be, do they see life as you've already lived it and now you're trying to find something to make it worth it? What do you see love as? That's going to be something, what you see love as it is something so hard to define, is more defined by what you see people as, ironically enough, right? Because if we do see people as, okay, life is about emotion and feeling as many positive emotions as less negative emotions as possible, then your entire motive towards how you help people is going to be engineered towards that. It's going to be like, okay, I want people to be loved. I want to show that I have love. And everybody does, right? It's just about what they see in their inside world will define how they go about this love thing. But we already love all. That's the big secret of the world. That's the big untold secret, is that everybody loves all of the time. That's why everyone's like searching for it. It's not that it's missing. It's that everybody loves all of the time. And the difference is that what's going on in their inside world. So if they believe that emotions are love, then that's what they're going to be following as love. But if they believe as everybody being able to handle the problems of their life, of their own individual life is love, then that's what they're going to do is love. So we got to see that everybody is loving. God Grid. Welcome, bro. Good morning. How art thou? I hope you're feeling the front of your spine today, feeling the weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches all of the time. You okay, bro? He asks. This your first time doing acid? I wish. Welcome to the inner dimension, my friend. How go on? Are you feeling the front of thy shins this morning? So this love thing being like a universal thing, right? Obviously. So what's actually important is going to be defining what we see in this inner world. It's going to be defining, all right, so what do you see as the human individual experience? Because love is this like universal thing that everybody already understands. How else are you going to put a title on it other than to understand where they're coming from? So if your idea is that emotions are this love thing, right? There's an issue with that, in that emotions cannot always be in the positive realm. So what you're doing is actually addicting them to something that cannot always be there. That's the issue. And it's not an issue that anybody doesn't understand these things. It's that we're not articulating them out loud. No one wants to articulate them out loud. But it's a big problem because then it's going to be abused and stuck up your butt. It's going to be used against you. Oh, you don't do this. You don't love me. You don't want to cater to my needs? Well, you don't love me. That means you're a bad person. Well, you don't do this thing? Well, you don't love me. That's why you do it, and that makes you a bad person. Can we just get over this? Everybody loves all the time. Everybody loves all the time. Done. That conversation's boring. That conversation sucks. Everybody loves all the time. Okay? You don't do things unless you love them. Even the villains in your favorite movies, they love doing something. Maybe they love killing, but they love that thing. So it's like, it's about love. So now it's just about what is your definition of what human beings are. Because everybody loves all the time. You wouldn't do that thing if you didn't love it. Let's follow the science, guys. As creatures, we only do things that you love. If you don't love it, you freaking do something else. You only do things that you love. So can we just get over this whole, like, you don't love me? That's such emotional blackmail. It's not true. Love is not an emotional thing. Why? Because emotions are something that will be here one day, gone the next. Here sometime, gone the next. So what you're actually doing is addicting them to something that they can't keep with them at any time. You can't keep with them. You're addicting them to you. That makes it selfish and all sorts of bad kind of crap. It's a mess. What is actually love? Something that they can take with them. Truth. Feeling the weight of the body down the front of the spine. Into the rainbow arches at all times. Not some emotional thing, right? Something that they can use. Even maybe tell their homies. You know what I'm saying? God Grid asks, have you read much about ethics and morality? Maybe a little too much, my friend. Perhaps maybe too much. For every wave on here that pulses, that is one book that I've read on ethics and morality. And so have you godly creature, you, as you're placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. And remember, you don't sit on your legs. And place the weight of the body in the front of the shins. Feel the front of the shins. Remember, you don't sit on your legs. And so it's a big issue, right? How are we going to talk about this love thing and have it dangled over your head like some freaking marionette, and they're not going to define it? Don't let nobody do that to you. They're not going to take us alive. Ain't nobody going to take us alive. Can you be afraid? If you understand this, could you be afraid that if this love thing could be taken with you everywhere you go, and it's not this emotional thing that can be dangled in front of you like some carrot and stick? Oh, you want to be a good person? You want to love? Well, you got to do what I say. No, homie, everybody loves, you loser. For you thinking that I don't love, that makes you an unloving loser, judgmental. Turn around, sit down. For thinking that I don't love. For not assuming that I love and then just looking for why or how we go about it. But not that whether or not we do. That's crazy talk. You're a bad for thinking that, right? Everybody loves all the time. More about where you're coming. It's more about how you're even viewing what state the human condition is even in. But from that point on, everybody's always trying to, if everybody already had the same ideas of what the human condition was, we'd all agree on things already. It's just about the ideas of the human condition, because everybody's willing to put the same amount of effort into this love thing, but their ideas, their paradigms of what the human being condition is different. Some people view the human condition as like, oh, it's this emotional thing. Oh, is that so? Is that so? Because emotions are this thing that you can have under your control at all times, right? Not. Emotions are this fickle thing that's constantly tricking you, you fool. You fool. How about placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times? This month especially, we're going to hear a lot about love. You know what you're going to hear not a lot about is the definition of love. What you're going to hear a lot about is it means everything to anybody. Okay, that sounds about right to every criminal ever. This door is my door. That door is my door. Anything means anything. If you don't do this, you don't love me. It's crazy talk. Love has a definition. It's placing the weighted body down the front of the spine, baby. And into the rainbow arches at all times. Something that you can take with you, not something that you can take away. Emotions are something that you can take away, something that's like, it's fickle. Where your body goes, wherever your body moonwalks, your emotions are going to be changing. It's always dependent on what people are doing out there. It's always dependent on this other crap. It's not giving you shit on the, sorry, excuse his French. It's not giving you stuff on the inside that you can take with you. That's real love. Conservatives are losing because they're too afraid to just define love as if we don't have love. Yeah, because you actually don't. The conservatives actually don't. The conservatives like to talk so much about this God thing, but they don't actually demonstrate anything. They don't actually demonstrate as if they believe this God thing. If you believe this God thing, you'd never be afraid because you'd be like, yo, I got this gigantic beast on my side. And apparently every human being has this thing inside of them. I'm just never afraid ever because like that thing's inside of every person. Dude, who's going to be scared ever? So if you're scared and judging people and you're like, don't do this, and you're telling people to not, and you're trying to control people's lives, which means that you don't have strength in your own. If you're doing that stuff, you obviously don't really believe in God or whatever this God thing that you're talking about is, right? So there's a real big issue of like us not defining these things. What is this God? What is this love? Because you can just say it all you want. There's no substance behind it. Not only are you hurting the people who you are telling not to do things arbitrarily. Hey, don't do this, don't do that. Why? Love, God. What the hell are we talking about? We're just like, everybody's yelling at each other from like this like dark cave because everyone's just like saying loose words like love and blah, blah, blah. But what if God and love had a definition? What if the definition of God is just the feeling you get when you hear your favorite song, okay? Let's just say, just for argument's sake, just because no one's freaking talking about it. Like, what if love is just that thing? Your favorite song comes on, you're like, ah! You freaking like freak out. Or what if love is that thing where when you wake up in the morning and God is that feeling where some days you wake up and you just know you're on the right side of the bed, right? Some days you can feel the front of the spine and feel the rainbow arches and feel your sit bones and that you're not sitting on your legs and you've weighted the body on the front of the shins. And some days it's harder to feel that, right? So that feeling of like, of how good this day is, or wow, that music makes me feel good. Let's just say that's God. Okay, so now it has a definition. It's real, guys. It's real. Stop doubting it. So it's like, it sounds a lot better than being like, oh yeah, God ordered me to tell you to not masturbate. What the hell are you talking about, dude? No. What if it was like, yeah, dude, that God feeling, you know, that real God, that not this fictional like freaking man in the sky with like a wand? No, not that guy. God, the feeling that you get when you hear Rufio or your favorite band or Beatles, that feeling that you get, it slips further and further away from you. When you masturbate because you get tired, you focus on these physical feelings, you get sleepy, your body has to go into a refractory period. And then now it's even harder for your body to relax long enough to feel that God again from the Beatles, from your favorite album, because you're too busy sleeping, you're too busy having your body trying to recover from that because it's got to bend back, it's got to contract again as you're feeling the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches, and then it gets harder to feel that. And your ability to feel better, right? Your ability to breathe better as you remember that you don't sit on your legs and you're feeling the front of your shins. That ability to feel, because doesn't that feel better? Doesn't your body feel a little bit more in the moment, more prepared to listen to the next statement as you place your weight of the body down the front of the spine into the rainbow arches at all times? Remember, you don't sit on your legs. What if that feeling got further and further away from you every time you masturbated? Or every time you looked at porn, or every time you slept with the wrong woman, or something like that, right? Because we're going around doing all this finger wagging. Yeah, don't do this. Yeah, stupid, don't do that. It's so dumb. It's like you're not even giving them a reason of like why not to do that thing. Don't do that thing because it's going to suck for you, man. Because it's not going to feel good for you later. It's like the left is winning. The liberal establishment, the left, I don't know, pop culture. They're all winning in that direction because they actually understand God, if this God thing exists, right? They understand God more than the right even understands God. God knows that they should follow this thing, right? Or like they believe they should, but they don't actually know God the way that the pop culture does. The pop culture knows God is more of a feeling. They understand that inherently. It's like it's got to feel good. So you're going to be like, God says not to have sex. God says not to masturbate. God says not to do this. Okay, well, does it feel better than this stuff? Does it feel better? No? Okay, screw you then. Up yours. That's what's going to happen. It's so clear, right? It's like, is this even a conversation? It's so clear already. It's like, oh yeah, people are addicted to porn. Yeah, maybe because every time you tell them like not to be addicted to porn, or every time you tell them about this God thing, every time it gets to the part where like, hey man, it feels bad. I don't know about this God thing. You're just going to go like, yeah, well, sucks to suck, loser. What? What the hell is that? No wonder conservatives are losing. No wonder they're losing. How do you, what? You're going to live in life and act as though, like, as if feelings are not a part of life. Like, oh, the purpose of life is to mush down all feelings. That's not true. It's not true. The purpose of life is not to muster all feelings. Your life has feelings. You want to know what the purpose of life is? The purpose of life is that by the time you realize that you want to do something with your life, you've already wasted so much time. So now you're trying to figure out something to do that's going to make all that time worth it. That's the purpose of life. Not emotions and feelings. Those things are there to distract you. In reality, by the time you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I should do something with my life, you're actually just like, dude, wow, I spent like 15, 20, 30 of my years doing nothing. Now I really want to do something that's going to make my time worth it because I know I'm going to plot. So what the hell am I going to do to make it worth it? That's actually the biggest kept secret in life. Screw all this emotional crap. Emotions are going to come. Emotions will make you feel good. You know how you can feel those emotions even better? Feel the weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. And then place the weight of the body on the front of the shins. And don't make a homie say it again. And remember, you don't sit on your legs. Things like that, right? I don't care whatever LOL asks. Should we legalize polygamy? Do I think we should legalize polygamy? Like most things, it depends. It depends on how far we are in the culture and morality. There's no perfect government. The government's got to go along with where the people are at spiritually. If the people are not spiritually along with the government, they're not going to follow the government anyway, so it doesn't matter. So it depends on where the people are at spiritually. If they're at a place where they can, where they understand to place the weight of the body on the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times, I don't care whatever. If we are in a place where people understand that love is not some freaking emotional thing, because that's temporary, right? Emotions are temporary. So you're telling me love is temporary? Hell no, it's not temporary. Love's got to be permanent. Love's got to be everlasting, like knowledge of yourself, like knowledge of placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times, so you can feel better at any time, even when some girl makes you feel sad. So if we're at some point like that, where we're a little bit further along, it seems, than thinking that like sex and drugs are the best feeling things. If we're at a place in society where the people feel that the front of the spine, it feels better than sex, as it does actually, so that people can have their own generator of feeling good all the time, right? Imagine that. People are just constantly looking for somebody else to make them feel good. Hey, can I put my penis inside of you? Can you put your penis inside of me? Please? Like, people are just constantly looking for someone to make them feel better. Screw that noise. What if we're just like, yo, place the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches, and you'll be fine. And you'll feel as if you're, what if that felt better than jerking off? Imagine that. You wouldn't need nobody. You'd just be like, oh, you broke my heart. Screw you. Oh, sorry. Screw you. Read between the lines. You'd be like, screw you. I got my own generator of feeling good. La, 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 la. Later, ho. Me. Right? That's what you would say. God Grid asks, why does love have to be everlasting? That's a good question. God Grid. That's a good question. That's a fantastic question. The reason why I said that love needs to be everlasting was because we're trying to match the model towards what we believe love to be internally, right? If we look at the way we view relationships, how much our heart breaks, if we look at the relationship between us and ourselves should be always everlasting, right? Because you're always in this body. If we look at the nature of the world that the human design has imperfectly created on the outside for us to visualize and for us to observe, we can see that there's a concept of love that wants to be everlasting, right? And if not, then there is also the struggle of asking why it's not everlasting, right? So both are kind of the same sides of the same coin. So we're feeling the weight of the body down the front of the spine. So if we're looking for the answer of that, if we're looking for why can't love be something everlasting, well, we're going to be like, okay, well, here's a suggestion. Maybe it is. You know, there's all these songs about it. There's goddamn religions about it. There's entire meditation regiments about it, about this like eternal peace, right? This forever peace, infinite peace, right? There's entire life cycles that were built around and spent looking for some kind of eternal love. So we know that we're searching for something. Some people say it's this emotion thing. They're like, oh, everybody should love everybody, and that's how we're gonna get eternal love. Really? What about someone stops liking you for a second? Then your love is gone, and then you're gonna abandon them because I hate when people don't love me. So I'm gonna be like, all right, screw you then. Chaos, baby, forever, because people just go back and forth forever. So love can't be this thing that you rely on other people to give you. Hell no, it can't, baby. You don't let them take them away from you. You can't let nobody take love away from you, baby. It's an inner thing. As there you go. As I don't care whatever LOL asked earlier, he said, is love real? Isn't love real even without a definition? Exactly. It is so real already. It's this thing that we already interact with already. We already have like such a beholden drive for it that we attach, that we make it our God, right? Even without any text, even without a Bible, we're going to make it our God, whatever we decide this love thing to be. Love and God are not, they're not even different, it seems, right? Love and God. If you believe in whatever you believe love to be is your God, right? Necessarily. No matter what. It doesn't make you a bad person no matter what. You're always forgivable, right? Because human beings are we are always an endless redemption arc for your lifetime. It's not over till it's over. But just the reality, so it can help us kick ass in life, we're just going to try to look at the design of our car so we know how best to drive our car. And the design of our car is that whatever we love is what we make our God. Just necessarily, and that's okay. So what are you going to make your love? What are you going to make your God? Love? Something that people can take away? As in this emotional love, right? As in this like emotional feeling kind of love, this touch me kind of love, this beautiful kind of love. Ooh, baby. This love that's based on other people. But what about the love of the self, right? The love of the self. Is that not something you could take with you? As in the love of your design, the love of the front of the spine, into the rainbow arches, all of the times. And then feeling the front of your shins. And that you don't sit on your legs and don't make me say it again. Actually, like, check this out. Literally something that you cannot take away from you. You know what people can take away from you? A jerk off, a hand job, a blowjee, a hug. Things people can take away from you. You know what they can't take away from you? Your freaking spine. You know what I'm saying? God Grid says, so you're saying if I don't believe in God, then that's my God. Yeah, actually, dude. Actually, yeah. I don't care whatever LOL says. Do you think Jordan Peterson needs to take shrooms? I'm not sure if he hasn't. Has he not? I think a lot of people could benefit from a lot of substances, different ones, whatever. Maybe we're just talking about Tylenol, right? But all in all, it has demonstrated to me that really, if you are somebody who really believes in like, and this is just talking about all these like Bible thumpers, right? If there's somebody, if all these Bible thumpers were really so high and mighty on their God thing, then they wouldn't have fear, because you'd just be like, yo, I'm this human being thing that apparently has this God thing bursting outside of me. So I'm good, bro. No matter what happens, I'm good. So it's weird to me that people who are like really like Christian or really Catholic, that they're super against trying to expand their faith by exploring more. It shows to me fear, and shows to me that you don't really believe in this God thing. God Grid asks, or my God would be my belief in lack of God. This is actually a great question. Yeah, it's not so much, it's not even theological. It's more scientific. It's more engineering. It's a more of an engineering question, is how are humans engineered to behave? And the nature is that they are engineered to be religious. And what do I mean by religious? I don't mean necessarily believing in a sky god, some freaking naked Santa Claus god in the sky, right? Like that's what people think. No, it's not some Rick and Morty episode. What we mean by believe in God, right? What was I saying? Was that oh yeah, like you necessarily are religious in the sense that you are going to do things religiously, as in human beings naturally only live in one spot, and you can't see the entire world, but you know there's an entire world out there. So you have to behave in it in such a way that you're going to get what you want or whatever, like you find happiness, and or you avoid as much unnecessary suffering as you can, whatever. But necessarily, because you can't see everything, you have to behave religiously. You have to behave in such a way where you do certain things, you can expect certain results. That's basically what religion is, right? It's like if you do X, then you'll be guaranteed X result or Y result, right? If I don't make fun of these people by certain religion or by certain race or color, then I will be accepted into this social society because I have followed that sacrament. You know what I'm saying? There's like, for everything in life, you gotta like, being religious is more just about playing the rules. So it's just like, it's more just about engineering. How are human beings engineered? And they're engineered to follow a rule, and God is a rule. That's really all it is. It's not really that complicated. It's not really like this gigantic body in the sky. It's just about what is the rule? What is the nature of like the universe that you see? Godgrid asks, do you believe in any form of pragmatism? Pragmat? If it means, do I believe in any form of intelligence? Apparently not in myself. Pragmatism, right? What is pragmatism? What is pragmatism? It sounds so familiar. It sounds like practical, sounds like pragmaticism. It's probably looking up on Webster, a practical approach to problems and affairs. Well, I believe that, everything you do is pragmatic. In a way, if you want to really go that deep, Godgrid. If you want to go that deep, everything is a practical approach to problems and affairs. That's kind of what I'm saying, is the nature of the world is that there are problems and affairs. So what love will be is something to help you through those problems and affairs. What emotion and focusing on feelings does is not help you with problems and affairs. What that does is distract you and prevent you from your ability to help with those problems on your own, like by feeling the front of your spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. So love would not be focusing on things that distract you from yourself or that shroud your ability to see yourself, but love would be things that help you to see yourself because you are already this God thing, right? So if conservatives really believe this God thing, even in the people that they judge, which they do judge, if conservatives really believe in this God thing, and if it really does really exist in everybody, then they have to start acting like it. As in, you can't judge. You literally can't judge because everybody has this God thing, and the best you can do is introduce them back to this God thing. What human is going to be stronger than a God? So conservatives are losing because they talk all this high word about this love thing, but they don't actually demonstrate it. The way you would actually love somebody is helping them see more of themselves, because if you really believe that they're this God thing, say you believe they're this God thing, they're like, man, you ever listen to the Beatles? You ever listen to Beethoven? You ever listen to something corporate? You ever listen to any song that like moves your soul? Well, that's God. God is within you. So love is going to be this thing that allows you to see more of that within you and enable yourself to feel more of that thing, right? Scientifically proven. Feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. And how does your sense of self feel when you're doing that compared to when you place it in somewhere else, when you place your weight of the body on some other stupid place, like trying to place your weight of the body on the tailbone, which doesn't deserve any weight from your body. It doesn't actually support any of it. And that's science, right? So if we're following the science, which one is going to help you feel that connection to your ability to feel that music better, that God, that feeling of like the Beatles or your favorite Elton John song, whatever the hell you listen to, right? Which one's going to help you feel that better? Flashing hella lights and throwing women at you, or reminding you to place the weighted body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches where your body deserves to at all times? What's better? What's more love? Showing them other things that are not them, or showing you more of things that are you, because you are this God thing that can enable this amazing feeling by placing your awareness to the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times? That superpower that you got, that awareness that you can manipulate anywhere. Where is it right now? Are you allowing my words to travel through one ear and out the other, as you should? These are just words, right? Take out the meaning and grab the meaning that makes sense to you, but just let the words pass by, right? As we're trying to just introduce us back to our, apparently this God thing that lives within us. It's like, love is going to be this thing that distracts you away from that? No, love sounds more like it's going to be like, hey, I believe apparently that there's this God thing inside of you. So I believe it so much, I'm just going to try to tell you the truth about it and try to help you see more of yourself so you can be more of that crazy God thing that you don't even know you are. Your freaking body can barely even contain it. It's bursting at the seams. That sounds more like love to me, reminding you of that you are that God. You don't need nothing else. You don't need the emotions that I can give you. That's why I'm going to talk all this crap to you that I want, because I'm just some guy. You have this God within you anyway. What am I? I'm just some guy. Who cares what I say? Just take the meaning if it makes sense to you. Take whatever meaning has meaning to, or take whatever has meaning to you and hold on to that. But I'm just some guy, right? You have this thing within you. Isn't love reminding you of that and not trying to steal that away from you? God Grid says, when people take acid and they get stuck in loops of circular reasoning, you sound very much like that. Well, God Grid, let me ask you something. Have you tried placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times? And have you asked yourself how that feels? And have you placed the weight of the body into the front of the shins? And remember that you don't sit on your legs. It's true that there is an epidemic of misinformation out there. A body that's not even understood. When people are trying every day to handle this quote unquote sadness epidemic, this depression epidemic, right? Porn addiction epidemic. And yet we don't even know the basic thing about our own design. How are you going to prove that somebody is feeling in their relaxed moments? How are you going to be like, oh yeah, people are addicted, we're having a sadness epidemic? Really? Or is it the fact that people have lost connection to their own ability to just breathe okay? Everybody's stuck inside. Everybody's with their mommies, their daddies, trying to be all private with your life. You need that ability to feel the front of the spine. You need that ability to feel the weight of the body into the rainbow arches. And just feel how that feels, you know? And doesn't that feel so good? To know more about yourself and to know that that's something that you can't take away from you. I take that as a huge compliment, God Grid. Thank you. I appreciate you. There is not much to do in life but to know thyself as your body goes on autopilot. As your body gets drunk and goes on autopilot, right? Or gets sleepy and goes on autopilot, right? Or when you just wake up and you're doing things on autopilot, right? Our body has a mode in which it does things on autopilot. So what else is there to do but focus on making sure that ourselves are just being ourselves, right? Placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. I'm glad to be stuck in a circular loop of reasoning because you know why? Because gravity is a forever loop of reasoning. As your body continues to descend towards the earth, you want to continue to place weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. It is circular reasoning because gravity is circular actions. It continuously happens. And as it continues happening, you want to remember to place weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Why are conservatives losing? Because they don't have connection with crap like this. They talk all this high and mighty about objectivity, about knowing the truth, about knowing thyself. Well, we just got to take it a little bit further. That's all. Because they've lost this connection to this feeling thing. So they're talking all this, they're talking very big game about this great feeling that God brings. Yet they themselves have very little connection to this thing that feeling is inside the body. This concept of feeling within the body, they instead push down, muster down, hide, and act as though it is the purpose of life to pretend that these feelings do not exist, or that it is the purpose of life to hold them and restrain them beyond all recognition. Were they not just afraid of the ability to not define these things, this nonlinear information? It's too nonlinear for them. Oh, this feeling. Okay, this God thing exists. Okay, how come it doesn't feel better than candy, sex, drugs, movies? Because this God thing exists. Just don't worry about it. Not good enough. Everybody's going to walk away. No wonder the world is in the state that it's in. It's not good enough. So what we got to do, what they got to do in the next step is to find objective ways to communicate this nonlinear information. This is one of the ways. Is placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Hey, I can't feel this God thing. Really? Feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. That is the design. And so what are you thankful for? The things that humans do or the design that allows you to be alive? the design that allows you to be alive. Places the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. And I want to thank you so much for hanging out. That is going to be our podcast for today. We'll be back tomorrow. 5:30 to 6:30 every day. Thank you so much for I Don't Care Whatever, LOL, for the great questions. And as well, God Grid. Thank you guys so much for the great questions. I really appreciate you guys for being here. Placing the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Remember to feel the front of the shins and that you do not sit on your legs. Why are conservatives losing? Because they stop at the feeling route. They talk about this God stuff. They talk about this love stuff, but they stop at the feeling route. They lose on the feeling front. We gotta win on the feeling front. And how are we gonna win on the feeling front? By reminding ourselves that there is a way to feel. We've been designed to feel. There is a way to feel.